Trayambakam yajamahe sugandhim pushtivardhanam urvarukamiva bandhanam rigyormukshi.
Seekers of the Eternal Podcast, episode 50 with Soma Kirtan, hosted by visual artist PALEHORSE.
Welcome to the podcast. Today we have special guest Soma Kirtan. And just to read a little bit of your guys' bio, it's so nice to be here with all of you. I've been listening to your music now, I think, since you guys have begun. So I'm really interested in diving into your story and hearing about how all of this came to be. So just some words from Soma here. Soma is a group of multi-instrumentalists who play a blend of meditative soundscapes woven together with traditional kirtan music and inspired folk songs. The result is a sonic, psychedelic tapestry of esoteric mantras, dynamic rhythms, and devotional prayers. Soma's live performances are as eclectic as their recordings, landing them in temples, churches, concert halls, and even cremation grounds. Without exception, each song, vibration, and drone are treated with reverence, attentiveness, and respect, which acknowledges Soma's link in an unbroken chain to the ancient sounds. Welcome to the Seekers of the Eternal Podcast, special guest Soma.
Hello, thank you. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, good to be with all of you guys. I thought since we've got the four of us here, for those of you that can't see in the video, we've got Robert Ryan, Shivanesh, and Vasudev, and we've got Kalpa. I was thinking to begin here, it would be interesting just first, whoever wants to answer this one, just to know how long you guys have been playing together and maybe how you all got to meet each other in this lifetime.
Well, I've known Kalpa since we were little children, literally children, like young teenagers. And we came up through the skateboarding and hardcore music scene and started going to the temple together. And that subsequently led to us playing together years later, with huge gaps in between, of course. And that's how I met Vasudev, through Kalpa and playing together. So maybe they can answer a little bit more of the history of the band, but that's personally just wanted to share that me and Kalpa have known each other this long.
So like what Robert was saying, we met and we had a lot of the same interests, obviously, a little more things between music, skateboarding, art, kind of like maybe like graffiti. I think that was everyone's kind of like intro to the art world as young people. We started going to the Hare Krishna temple together in Brooklyn. That's when like the whole like pro-mags kind of like antidote shelter thing was real big. A lot of straight edge bands and stuff like that. A lot of like exploratory ideas of spirituality and just kind of more of like the inner, the beginning of the inner journey through that medium, through music. Kind of. I was laughing at the other night. We had practice, and I was telling these guys that my introduction to the Hare Krishnas originally was through Rolling Stone magazine. I just open it up and I see Dial Om for Murder, a Murder Madness in the Hare Krishnas, which it was like a short, it was like a really short abridged like best of the book Monkey on a Stick. And I started reading that just in the magazine, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. I can't wait to like meet these people. And then a couple, I don't know, months after that, it was, you're running into people and you're talking with your friends. Oh, hey, did you ever hear of this? Or, oh, I think this band's into this. It was kind of like that. And then not too long after that, as they like to say in the jargon by Krishna's arrangement, myself and Robert, we were on the boardwalk in Point Pleasant, which is kind of like the beach town where Robert grew up there, and I visited there frequently. Actually, my wife's from the town. We were on the boardwalk one day, and this guy comes up to us, just like skaters. We're just hanging out on the rail. This guy comes up to us. He's like, "You're under arrest." And we're like, "Oh, God." From the Smile Police. And the guy's a Jagannath sticker. And he's, he's just out doing the pick. He's just out doing Sankirtan. And I was just like, my God, we've been looking for you guys for like months. And that was it. That was like the first door we walked through. Like actually quite a few of us as you know, as like young people, maybe like a dozen or so of us. My wife and I'd sweat 5, 6 guys you went to high school with, right?
Yeah, my high school has probably 10 graduating devotees, you know, in this country, which is pretty amazing.
Man, yeah, that's incredible. Those synchronicities that start to happen once you open that doorway. And what a tagline in Rolling Stone, dial Om for murder.
Yeah.
It's a nice hook there to get you interested in the beginning, the stages. And it's really cool to meet you, Kalpa, because I know I've heard this story with Robert, his way that he got connected with the temple and started chanting. So it's nice to meet you here now too, that we're there at that time as well, and was a brother of his that began this journey together with him.
Yeah, it wasn't the Mandela effect that actually happened. So
yeah,
just confirmed it.
Right. and then, you know, and years passed, some time passed where I had gotten really involved with ISKCON on an institutional level. I took initiation, both first and second. I got involved with middle management, did a lot as I helped open the temple that's in central New Jersey now. And all the while we were, you know, just kind of just going through different stages of spiritual exploration throughout. Robert went on his own journey and I kind of went on mine. And then he has a studio space in Asbury Park that he's had for a number of years. Wonderful space that we've used quite a bit of things. And I started doing kirtan there, like these kind of kirtan programs in 2009. And he and I had reconnected after, you know, we'd been living parallel lives. He was a tattooer, I'm a tattooer, and never any love lost. But, you know, like I had kids, he was in a band. So we were just, you know, always kind of high-fiving along the road when we'd see each other. But it wasn't really until I'd say around 2009, 2010 that we were able to start reconnecting again on a regular basis, because he was letting me use his space. We were having, doing like once a month kirtan, prasad, and, you know, some sort of either Bhagavad Gita class or just kind of open forum lecture from someone speaking on Krishna consciousness. And then more time went by. I went through my appropriate phases, still going through family and work and all these things. And then we reconnected again in that space about 7, 8 years later. He had invited me to a mushroom ceremony that we had done together, and that had been my first one. And everything just, needless to say, everything's changed after that for the better. My life really, I went through a lot of different phases of myself, a lot of internal purification. I had to face a lot of the demons of my own, but came out the other end. So I'll maybe he can say something and we can continue back, maybe up to the point of where Kirtan started together for me and Robert.
Yeah, beautiful. How about you, Vasudev? How did you meet these guys?
So I'm a little bit younger than these guys. So I, being kind of from the area, like adjacent to the Asbury Park area and stuff like that, I was involved in a lot of like community work and mutual aid work in Asbury Park. So I was doing food shares and things involving, you know, housing insecurity and stuff like booking shows, stuff like that. And I was at a food share one day, and one of the people serving there was just like, oh man, like, what are you doing after this? Like, I know you're kind of into like, you know, mystical stuff or Eastern philosophy, for lack of a better term. And I know this guy who's doing a Bhagavad Gita class at a local yoga studio, which happened to be owned by one of now members of Soma, our friend Steven. So after the food share, I went over to the class and I walked in, and I remember kind of just getting in there, and I hear who's speaking, and I kind of like find a seat amongst everybody, and what turned out to be Culpa, but I see this person in like, you know, camo pants, like an agnostic front t-shirt or something tattooed. I'm like, whoa, like this dude's giving like a class on philosophy, and I saw it very much like a reflection of myself. So it was, in that regard, it was like very disarming, because I always, I'd been given some books on Krishna consciousness by the devotees and, Tompkins Square Park and stuff, but it was always, the Sika, the robes, things like that. It was always much more like a monastic appearance. So I stayed for the class, and I really, really enjoyed it. And it was near Thanksgiving. So a couple days later, I was at my family's for Thanksgiving, and I'm just like kind of reflecting on some of the things that, Kolpa had shared. And at this point, I'd already been a vegetarian since high school. It's that part was kind of easy for me to begin to integrate. I've always been involved in like, whole animal activism and animal rights things for a large portion of my life since high school. But I was reflecting on, he said that, I tried to read the Bhagavad Gita a few times, but I remember he said that the easiest way to approach it is to start with the second chapter, and pretty much the essence of the book is continued in that second chapter. And that's like a really great like primer. So I remember I took that advice, and in those couple of days I had done that, I really felt like I had a breakthrough. So I had found him on Facebook or something at the time and messaged like, I've really enjoyed your class. And he was like, oh, like, have you ever been to the temple? Like, why don't you come and meet me in the videos and stuff like that? I showed up at the CNJ temple. We chatted. He kind of showed me the lay of the land there, and gave me my first Japamala, and kind of connected at the proverbial hip ever since. And with Robert, years before I got tattooed by him a time or two, I'd always been a fan of his art, and we, similar to what Kolpa had said, like kind of high fives along the way. We met and connected on music and art. Some very surface level spirituality stuff. But as they'll kind of parlay into, once Mishra Bhakti, their previous Kirtan offering was a thing, like I had kind of, I've been the guy on stage occasionally clapping at some of their performances, and I'd sit in with them via a set of extra hands. To backtrack, we'll kind of let them talk about the formation of that. But that's my intro to these guys.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, it's cool, these origins of how everyone finds each other and joins together. I was thinking for those who are new maybe to even the word kirtan, or maybe they haven't been part of a session before, maybe we could talk about just how to describe kirtan to someone who isn't familiar. I know it's a devotional chanting that connects us with the divine, but perhaps maybe just expressing maybe what it means and how maybe it's different from other types of music, how specifically kirtan is a form of spiritual practice.
Yeah, the singing of the holy names in a completely interactive situation where the audience is just as much as important as the people playing the music. It's a shared experience, everyone's voice coming together as one. To me, it's like kind of one of the highest musical offerings available. It doesn't have to be, when I say high, I don't mean like in virtuoso, you don't have to be a virtuoso to play it, but it's high in the fact that what you're sharing in and what's being transmitted back and forth. And, anyone who's actually participated in a kirtan can attest to the fact that how the energy rises as more people get involved.
Yeah, it really makes me excited to, in your intro here, talking about how you guys are playing this different types of venues that you're playing in, and even opening this up to music venues and bars and places that people, normally don't get a chance to experience something like kirtan. It's really exciting for me to think about that happening. I know when I first started chanting and singing, it felt so strange, it took me a while to start being able to sing in public, but it's so exciting to think about that call and repeat. It's so similar to what we grew up with, straight edge hardcore. It's like you learn the lyrics and we're all participating. That's what I loved so much about those shows. I was just, in my mind, I was like, what is this connection with all of us with kirtan and hardcore music and all this? I think of this kind of new era that we're moving into, and you guys are like bridges to this ancient technology of kirtan, and with the hardcore straight edge background. Maybe some ways for how could some people maybe that are interested in this, is there a way to maybe before you go to a kirtan session, are there any advice that you have for people to start getting into this and getting comfortable with participating?
So to add to exactly what you're saying, Krishna Chandra. So my early impressions of kirtan were at the Brooklyn Temple. and it was just loaded with all these like heavy hitter guys. It was very much a different in details, but the principles are just the same as a hardcore show. It's very much that every song is just an anthem, every song's a pile-on, everyone is just like, trying to grab the mic based on the interview. And myself and Vasudev were just in West Bengal at one of our teachers' ashrams, and it just dawned on me. I was like, this is like the beginning of this was the punk scene on another timeline, because it's so much about music of the people. It's so much about self-expression. It's so much about almost kind of not anti that you want to burn down the system, but it's very much a response to the current system. It's very much people taking matters into their own hands as far as what the important issues of the day are. And it's very much about like looking for higher values of beyond just the idea of being caught up in materialism or being caught in some lame news cycle or politics or whatever it is. That's, we tend to think those things are liberating us, but they're actually just cluttering us. They just clutter us internally, and there's no real space for us to evolve, like on an emotional level, psychological level, because we just get so weighed down. So for me, Kirtan's always just been a place to just kind of focus on those things. And when you grab them, it's when you can focus on them and grab them internally, you can purge them through the Kirtan, through the singing, through the dancing, and just kind of somewhat imagine a higher version of yourself every time. And then try to leave the Kirtan as that, not as just shed something, almost like a reptile, just lose a layer of skin.
To kind of answer more about what you were saying about entry points for people to kind of discover Kirtan and ways to kind of like prime themselves for that experience. I mean, easy enough. I mean, the internet is every YouTube has so many classic, Kirtan recordings from the 80s and until now. There's so many amazing videos that are currently offering music. We could definitely compile a playlist to coincide with the release of this episode of some of our favorites, maybe some of the classics that we're inspired by. Maybe that would be helpful. But I think approaching Kirtan at all, I think the word is just kind of always surrender, and just to allow yourself to freely sing, you know what I mean, and to freely be absorbed by those energies and those frequencies. So I think the only preparation that somebody needs to participate in something like Kirtan is very similar to how we participate when we go to watch any live music, to just have the channels open, to be receptive to the feelings that arise, and be open to what moves you, and just kind of go in there as a clean slate, and let it take you where it takes you.
It's truly amazing to me to see how many people have actually found their voices through Kirtan. People that never would have sang in front of people are now singing in front of people, dancing in front of people, clapping, joining in. All you really need to do is come with an open heart and an open mind, and you could be swept up into the glory of the holy name really easy. Your first time, if you're willing to be. But yeah, so many people I know would have never found themselves singing in front of people if it wasn't for Kirtan. And I think that's really the power and the integrity of the tradition.
The beginnings of it in the modern context, and by modern, I mean in the last 540, 50 years now, back to the time of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who founded the current of what Kirtan is now. So there's many traditions historically, from all the way from South India to North India. People have always been doing some sort of singing, some sort of praising. But it was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who was a Bengali saint, or some people see him as the manifestation of the Godhead on earth. Whatever your view is, nobody can deny that without his influence, without the work he laid down, we wouldn't be on Zoom right now. So he's the reason for the eternal season of Kirtan. So with that being said, there's a ton of history there, and again, for me to tie it back to kind of this idea that it's more, it was, the whole thing was a counterculture movement. That was the beginning of Kirtan. And for me now, I appreciate that even more because that's the real work. It's not, like I said, it's about integrating with society now. It's not about burning anything down around you through anger. Now it's you transform it more into the process of love, of trying to give things to other, share something with people, something that has meaning, something that's enriching to their life, something that gives them a chance, like I said, to look inside, to kind of declutter all the samskaras or all the impressions that you pick up during your life that have the tendency to stifle real inner movement or, a real inner voice, because the inner voice today just gets so bombarded with TV, with media, with, all these petty things. So it's very revolutionary, Kirtan. If it's done like anything else, if it's done with the proper attitude or the proper understanding, just do a little homework, do a little bit of the knowledge for yourself, and it really starts to open up pretty quickly.
And I know too that with Kirtan, it's known as a Bhakti practice. I know from my practice of meditation, when I wanted to start really feeling true love and connection with the self, incorporating chanting and Kirtan into my practice with that, it really did just open up that ability to feel love. Maybe the question just with you guys is, what does that role look like for you guys with Bhakti in your practice and devotion? What does that mean for you, and how do you bring that into your performances when you're on stage in these very diverse, different outlets, different places that you're in, keeping that authenticity and sharing it as a bridge for new people? Is there ways that you really hold strong and keep that deep sense of Bhakti when you're performing?
Yeah, it's completely humbling, because you're there for a higher reason, like, so you might have like an opinion about a club that you might be playing, or you might have some sort of aversion or something, but that the goal is to deliver this song, and these holy names. So you have to put yourself behind that and put the music in front of you and put the Lord's name in front of you and share in the love. And I think that, like, that's bhakti right there, putting the the practice before yourself, before your like what you like, what you don't like, what you desire, what you don't want, what you do want. And I think that the bhakti informs the rest of the practice as well. Like, if you're achieving a high level of intensity and sincerity in kirtan, it's going to inform the gyan in your practice as well. You'll receive knowledge through these sacred songs.
Yeah, for myself, I think something that my teacher told me one time that always sticks with me is that the path is to serve in all realms, right? That's something that I really reflect on regularly. And in my experience and in my understanding of it, like, bhakti is when you're in that like mad, intoxicating love, or that's our goal, to be mad with that love for the divine. We see that present in everything. When we're outside and we're walking down a city street, walking in the forest, walking in a bar, walking into a temple, to try and, obviously, I'm no perfected person where I'm living in twilight at all times, but the reminder is always there when I'm sitting on the dirty carpeted stage of some random bar with beer smell and whatever else is going. Like, it's still like, to remind myself that all of that is still that expand, and I'm still having the opportunity to sing the names and to sing these words and to sing essentially to that reflection and whoever may be there, and to just offer that from myself to whoever's there to receive it. And in my practice, in my path, in my belief, I know that somebody is always there to receive. You know what I mean?
And to add to that, also, I feel one of the biggest things, the difference of what we're doing on stage, like, obviously, like the traditional kirtan setting, is the notion is already there that it's kind of call and response. We're like, okay, we're gonna have kirtan, so here's here's the people doing the kirtan, the audience comes, and it's kind of, so in the where we're trying to take it just out to the masses, the public, and you don't really get that so much. Like, there's a few people there. They're a little familiar here and there. Some people might sing, some people not. Some people are just very like, wow, this is, it's new to a lot of people. So a lot of people, we really only had positive responses, but understanding and knowing, like, through the practices that we all do, myself, Vasudev, and Robert, Steve, and Nataraj, the other guys in the band, we're all focused on mantra chanting, not just for kirtan, but we also have our own practices outside of just the band. So pretty much every day we're all practicing some sort of like mantra, either japa or, Robert does a lot of pujas with the recitation of different mantras. So with that, inside of us is like we're building these energies and they become stronger and stronger and stronger. So my feelings towards it, when I go out and I chant, it's just like Vasudev said to me, we were having this conversation one day. It's like a mantra is like a gift card. It's not up to you what the person does with it once you give it to them. It's very much, for me, I feel like, we go do our thing and that's it. Like, through my pure intention, my pure intensity, like, I know that I can only have this practice to the degree that I want to give it to other people. Like that, you can only have bhakti to the degree that you want other people to have it. So it's very important to build that within yourself, to become really, really strong within your own practice. So when you give it, you're just casting seeds, because mantras are just made up of what? They're made up of bijas, and bijas are what? They're seeds. So my feeling is I'm just casting these seeds into whoever's fertile enough. And in time, with the understanding of my own practice, to see how sticking to one mantra and chanting it with full faith and full conviction over time, how it opens things inside of yourself. You can only hope that through the same practice of giving the mantra, to just giving it out. And that's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did, was just he gave it freely. There was no holding back. It's just, this is it. Take it or leave it. Part of it's up to you what you do with it. So I try to always have that intention in mind when I'm singing, and just, I want other people to experience the good parts I've experienced, and also some of the bad parts, because some of the bad things that come are the things that force you to search for the good things. When it forces you to face certain parts in yourself that maybe you weren't willing to, a lot of my practice, especially in the last 5-6 years or so, has been very much that, is just the mantra has just uncovered some, parts of myself that I just couldn't get at through my own, whatever, self-help type of thing. The mantra is completely unbiased. There's no agenda. It's just the way that, medicine works, whether you think you're sick or not. If you're sick, the medicine will react to the illness in the proper way. So
yeah, I love that. And I love that analogy of the gift card. You're offering this, it has this gift. You can take it if you want, it's up to you. And just like all of these rituals and spiritual practices, like there's really no limit to what we can experience through vibration and through these different ancient technologies that are available. So yeah, I love that. That really, I think that makes a lot of sense, is you got to cash it in. You got to really open your heart and participate and make it real for yourself. And I know a lot of the experiences, of course, that you have with kirtan, with this group energy, this collective energy, can be very ineffable, hard to describe. But is there any experience, maybe early on, or something that you maybe are able to share about an experience that you had, or maybe something collectively that happened during one of your shows that maybe would be an interesting story to tell in any of the different places that you've played?
I mean, just recently, to be playing kirtan music and to look up and see Alex and Allison Gray dancing along and completely blissing out to what you're playing, that was, how high of a reward can you have? And, for as artists, all three of us are artists and love their work and love them as people. And just to see them respond to it, to me, like, that, I couldn't even imagine that 10 years ago. It was amazing. And that was just something that happened like last month. that happens, when we toured with Grails, we were seeing people's reactions, that had never heard Kirtan before or never heard us before. And to be completely like moved and caught off guard was pretty unique and interesting, and also super like, I think it's important to note that like, we're not trying to proselytize at all. We're not trying to convert anybody to anything, because there's nothing to convert to, but we're just trying to share what has changed our lives in such a beautifully unique way. And if we can offer just a little bit of that, mission accomplished.
What a dream.
Yeah. One that always sticks out to me is a few years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, I forget now at this point, but we had the opportunity to all be in Varanasi and do it together, the three of us. And we were singing outside of Manikarnika, like the large cremation grounds there. And we're singing on this, like, I don't know the proper term, but what I would akin to like a jet or something, this like little jutted out piece that's just kind of like over the water. We're just doing what we're doing. And excuse me?
The
God.
Okay, yeah. So we're sitting on the ghat and we're singing. And this like, little group of like younger adults come over, and they're sitting and they're just kind of like watching us and singing along with us. And when it ends, one of the people walks up, and this kid is just like, I just got done from basically like performing the rites to my mother leaving her body. Like, we've spent all day here with my family. My mother just left the body. We've been here doing this process, and then we heard you all singing, and we just and to sit and be reminded that all of this like exists after that was just like so powerful to hear this kid's experience, having just,
Burned his mom.
Yeah, literally that, to have, that, that reminder of, it gave me all kinds of thoughts between the, the temporary nature of the life that we're currently experiencing and how fragile that is, and how beautiful it is to be able to be in these bodies and to have these experiences, and then to what he must have been feeling, what his family must have been feeling. And, just, it really was powerful to know that those names called him over, and he was able to just have that moment to just kind of sit and observe that with us and participate in that with us. That story really always, like, I reflect on that like pretty often. That was a pretty powerful experience.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. I know that on your Instagram, there's actually some video of those performances there on the cremation grounds that people can watch if you'd like to get a visual for that. Wow. What a powerful experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
But any things that you would like to share from past experiences personally or collectively?
It's all been so good. I mean, there really hasn't been a time where, for myself, where we haven't even practiced. When we practice, it's very much like, for me, it's very much just part of my sadhana. Like doing these songs. I practice every night. Most of our set, I just enjoy. I love playing harmonium. It's just something that I enjoy doing. So I have a committed practice. I try to do at least an hour every night. I'll just put the headphones on and listen, and just, we play along now as the same way as if I was just doing japa. It's just, I have to hear these songs. I have to make these songs a part of myself. So it's that much easier to give them to other people when you soak it up, and then now you're oozing it, and it's much easier to share. So, I mean, the shows are amazing. When we play, it's just, whether it has very little to do with the performance. We're not trying to, I'm done trying to like wow and amaze people with what I do or what I don't do. Now it's just, I'm really, really trying to, like, I believe in this. So and I want other people to, again, like, I'm not trying to convince anybody of anything. I see that it's important to just try to give something of yourself to other people without expecting anything in return. And then, without any expectation, just, this is what we do. It's who we are. And hopefully this is our shot at making the world a little bit better of a place, even if it's just internally, even if making that world better for somebody is just an internal part of themselves. It may not change, but when the inside changes, the whole world around you looks different anyway. So it's very,
Yeah,
has
wonderful.
a lot of
Yeah.
meaning for me.
Yeah, beautiful answer. All of you guys, thank you. It was making me think about really the ways that, us growing up, playing in bands and making art, as the way that it changes as we begin to really go inward and find our spiritual paths, how that art, why we're making it, where it's coming from. It can be difficult for artists. I know for myself, the motivation, the drive that I used to have for making a name for myself or getting my art out there, there's maybe it's good to talk about this, because I think this happens for a lot of people, and we get really confused because you get to a place where maybe you'd feel like, wow, maybe making art isn't all that important anymore, or getting fame isn't all that important anymore, and then you wonder if maybe you should even be a creative person anymore, or if you should just fully dive into your own personal practice. But I feel like those of us who are here in this age, this isn't the time to be just alone in a cave. We're out in the world being bridges to others, sharing this. This is a time where people are interested. People will come out to things like this that are different from what they're used to, because we're all searching for true, deeper meaning. And I love what you said there, is that, you really believe in this, and it's making art from a new place, that it has so much more power than where it did from before, when we were just coming at it from our more of an egocentric place. Maybe the question here in this, for this, is maybe like, I loved also what you said, Shivanesh, about this not being something where you're trying to convert people. This isn't something where it's not like you have to feel like this is a call for you to convert to some religion. This is, I do believe, a universal experience that we can all have without anybody having a fear of that. What universal aspects do you think Kirtan has that resonates with people, maybe that don't even have a religious or cultural connection to this? Is this for everyone? Can anyone participate?
It's for everyone. Everyone might not be for it, but I think, our Kirtan especially, we're mixing all kinds of different traditions and coming from different gurus and teachers and sampradayas and paramparas. So we have a lot to offer in that realm. So, if one thing kind of sticks out to you, you might be able to kind of track that down. It's like a breadcrumb trail. You might be able to find your way towards something that resonates with you. But just sonically, I think anybody can connect to it. Rhythmically, they can connect to it through the intonations of the different syllables. They can connect with it through the spirit of it and the joy in the singing. I think that anybody can connect to it. Well, it might not be for but we're there for anybody, for anyone. And I think that, to me, that's got like a lot of universality to it, and I think it's got a lot of potential to reach a whole bunch of different people. Where other kirtans might be one way, and you might only hear a little bit of one tradition, and we're integrating a bunch of different things, a lot of different instruments, and that could be a critique to a lot of purists in the kirtan world. I don't care personally, but I do. I could see where if someone wants to take it one direction, that's fine too. But we're not doing this so much in the temples. We're doing this in concert halls and on stages and stuff like that. So to appeal to a greater audience, I think it has a very positive effect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it is important to meet people where they're at these days.
Exactly.
Yeah, because those traditions are there for a reason, and they're great to hold those strongly. But yeah, meeting people where they're at and giving people what they're really they need to hear, I think is very important. And I know for me, as getting warmed up to spiritual music, medicine music, kirtan music, I remember when that first started to shift in my life, because I was, heavy metal, hardcore music. I was not interested in anything else, not even different genres of music, pop music or anything like that. It was so interesting when that started to shift for me, and I was like, who am I that now I'm listening to, this medicine music? And I was like, it just felt so strange. But when it starts to happen and you realize that your vibrating energy, the music that you're bringing into your life, is so important for the way that you feel and the way that your mind is operating. That really was there a shift for all of you guys in that? Did it feel strange at first when you started getting into this music from a hardcore background?
So just to add to the other thought of what you were just saying. So a couple years ago, a friend of mine, you may know my buddy Gora, he's a big kirtan guy. He had said to me that the objective of kirtan now is to make it as popular as reggae music, in the sense that, so whether you love it or hate it, it should just be kind of like a household thing. Everyone should at least know what it is, like who doesn't enjoy 10 minutes of like, a reggae song or something. You're just hanging out with your friends. So I think that's a really important idea for me. That's like something that's kind of like one of my submissions right now, is to just really try to do my part and collectively as the group, but to just try to make it accessible. Just make it accessible to everybody. You don't have to love it, but you should just be able to respect it. It's another genre of music. It's here to stay type of thing. And it feels great to kind of, at least in America, I don't know, to say that we're pioneers of it, but to definitely hold and try to carry the greater tradition of it and bring it to places because the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is every town and village. So for us, we're definitely hitting places and spots that are just not frequented or being hit. And a lot of, I wouldn't say criticism, but the world that I came from, the tradition that I came from in Kirtan is extremely conservative. When myself and Robert, we started, and Vasudev very early on, because actually I think one of the first bar shows that we played was with our first Kirtan group, Mishra Bhakti Kirtan Sangha. Vasudev was actually with us. It was at a program. It was at a show that he had set up. We were kind of like the guest band there, but it was just the same idea. It was just very much that, like, wow, we're here, we're sitting in a bar, like doing kirtan, and people are listening to it and they're appreciating it. It's not just a spectacle. It's not just like, again, like we're actual practitioners of this. We're not, it's not just, we're not appropriating it per se, because it was the lowest common denominator for all of us. It was just what we're actually practicing. And it's like really becoming a thing, at least locally. Some people know who we are. I see the effect. It's even the people in, like, I live in this little town in the middle of New Jersey, and now just the amount of soccer moms and the baseball dads that know I do kirtan and they know what kirtan music is. It has quite an impact that might not have reached any of these people. So that's really all we're trying to do.
That's really cool.
Create awareness and get people to feel they can think whatever they like about it, but again, but they also just, at least they respect it. They see it. It's not so weird. It's not so strange. It's just another thing it's just another genre of music.
Awesome.
Love or hate music, I think people understand that much. Like, oh, that's just music. That's what people do. People can accept like every type of crazy music's out there. They can, it doesn't get more mild than kirtan. It's very, very non-intrusive. It's not trying to change anybody. It's just trying to give people something to better themselves.
I love that parallel with reggae. That really kind of opened it up in my mind of where this is going, where it's headed. And yeah, I think that you guys, I know that the practices that you guys have at home daily is so strong. And so bringing that and having that personally allows you to come into these places and change the energy, bring that energy, dissolve your ego, and then be portals for this greater energy to come in and have the ability to transform people or to open up new things for them. So yeah, I love what you're doing with that, and being able to, in some ways, break the rules, but having that deep, strong practice for yourselves and knowing that this is good for this time period and for the people that are receiving it as bridges to these higher levels.
I didn't mean to get off track from the last question.
Oh, no, you're good. Yeah, Vasudev, did you want to share anything?
Well, to answer the question you had just asked, I think the parts musically, I don't think it was a very difficult transition for me, because kind of like you said in the beginning, I really like, to me, the first time I ever saw like a really live kirtan, I was just like, this looks no different than, any hardcore show, just with a much different like intention behind it. And sometimes with the same intention behind it, just people really bearing all and showing themselves and allowing themselves to receive something. So sonically, I didn't, and I've always been very interested, even in my younger years, in like quote unquote world music, like I've always been partial to like sitar music and some Carnatic music and stuff like that, just because I think it's like interesting, kind of psychedelic. Like that was kind of my first experience with like any like Eastern sounds. But yeah, I think, to echo what Kolpa said, and what Shivanesh was saying as well, and what you had said about all this different traditions, is like, I think it's really important that people kind of see that wherever you come from, whether it's an Eastern tradition or not, whether you're somebody that is sure about any type of divinity or just straight up doesn't really believe it, I think it's really for everybody, in the sense where everybody could acknowledge whatever that, for in the most reductionary sense, whatever that pilot light is in you, whatever that light is in you that keeps you on and makes all this real, and what connects the trees and everything in the world, like as an homage to that part of you, I think kirtan is for everybody. And when we were just visiting our teacher in West Bengal, a practice that she had everybody do that I found was really powerful was, so much of her tradition relies on it is song and dance. It's very bardic. It's a very bardic tradition. So people that aren't necessarily initiates of it, or people that don't even have exposure to it, she literally has everybody just kind of singing and spinning with abandon and kind of surrendering to this childlike quality of just how good it feels to put your feet on the ground and move around, and to kind of be fluid in your body, to kind of, allow yourself to move within the space around you and just be what you are, whatever that is, free of label or identification. And that practice is really important for people to have, in my opinion. And I mean, just to allow yourself to sing and be and offer that to whatever you think is out there, even if it's nothing at all, aside from yourself or whatever crude matter exists. I think that's enough for people to get something out of the idea of kirtan.
Yeah, beautiful. It reminds me, for my practice, I was talking to a friend, this was some years ago. I was, very devotional, very disciplined with my meditation practice, but I just wasn't feeling joy on a regular basis. There wasn't just that bubbling joy. And I was trying to figure out ways to rekindle that. And a friend of mine had such good advice. She said, "Chris, you need to dance." And that was like such good advice. And then the place where I do the meditation group on a weekly basis, they have what's called ecstatic dance nights there. They have kirtans and things like that. And, in my mind, I was like, the last thing that you're going to find me doing is, showing up to an ecstatic dance night, sober, just dancing with friends to a DJ, And so I was like, if you see me here at one of these nights, this meditation practice is working. But when I started doing that, just going, okay, I'm just, you have to like surrender your ego and just go dance with people. And that physical movement was so helpful, and just getting over yourself and getting out there and just being with other people and movement and dance. And so, yeah, that part of kirtan is really, I think, very powerful as well. Also, this sonic vibration of the music, and the dancing, and all of this kind of stuff, it's said to have also physical healing qualities. Would you guys want to speak on that a little bit? Do you think that the sonic vibration has the potential to even heal people physically? Have you had any experiences with that? Anything you'd like to share around it?
I mean, it obviously has an effect, and you could see that happening in real time. I'm not sure if anyone's ever been healed from one of our sets, but I think it's definitely put people on a path towards healing, and healing themselves. And that's truly like one of the best ways to heal, is by healing oneself and getting over yourself. So I think, definitely on an emotional level, on a spiritual level, and on a physical level, it's happening, on throughout all the sheaths in your body, and, in the subtle realms and the gross realms and in the spiritual realms. And I think that's the power of these songs, that they can have that,
Yeah. And I think it's healing to, just exactly as I was saying earlier, it's healing to sing, it's healing to dance, it's healing to just be in tune with the natural rhythm of the universe, and our songs are, slightly outside of like the tradition. We do traditional kirtan in our own lives, you know what I mean? And some of Soma's music is definitely rooted in, very strongly rooted in traditional kirtan, but our sounds are also intentionally rhythmic and dialed into almost a different frequency to allow people to access those things as well. And people that might not be exposed to traditional kirtan hopefully can find something that they can at least literally groove to and get lost in our set and our music.
Yeah, and to draw on other traditions, if you're familiar with, say, with like the 7 Hermetic principles, the third principle is that everything is vibration. So, and that's backed up by modern science. That's the whole theory behind quantum physics and string theory, is that everything's moving. So based on the frequency and the rate of vibration, that's what affects that. That's what everything actually is at the core of material existence. Is everything is based on vibration. So what we're trying, part of what the kirtan's kind of like an outward blast onto the environment with the intention of purifying the environment. But the chanting of mantras, say through the japa practice on the beads, that's in, you're really just sitting there trying to like adjust the dials. Like think of an old car radio, you're turning and turning and you've got that little bit of, little static coming in, but you're really trying to hit that, that frequency over and over again where it's just coming in clear. So it's very much, the practice of mantra, whether it's through japa or whether it's through chanting, through the kirtan practice in a group or individually. I would say that's one of the biggest, whether it's intended or not, that is the focus, is just getting yourself in tune with a clearer frequency where there's just no static. It's just pure transmission. And it goes both ways. It's how much, when you're clear, how much you can take in, and when you're clear, how much output there can be, how many watts. Those things are just extreme. It just all goes together. It's just, the whole thing is it's very systematic. It's like you go to the gym, right? You can go pump iron, do all this, try to get all jacked, swole, whatever you want to do. But if the cardio's not there, the diet's not there, the proper amount of rest isn't there, you're not hydrated, et cetera, and so forth. It's the same thing with the kirtan practice. That's why, and I'm not saying anybody should do it. These are the things that I do. These are the things that I've learned. It's very important to have all the elements kind of balanced, to your individual program, your individual practice. So, you got to be the right input produces the correct output. The things that we're taking in. And there's also what I like when I was more into doing, I haven't done it in a while, but like Vasudev said, like he and I met at we met at one of my Bhagavad Gita classes at the time. And one of the things that I would always like to stress to people is that we have like a 5 sense diet. The diet extends to the 5 senses. It's not just what we put in the mouth. It's what we put in the eyes. It's what we put in the ears and all these things too. And those, based on the things that we consume through the other senses, also produces the output that we're able to give back to the world. So that's also very important.
Yeah, I love that. I absolutely agree, man. It was making me think about when you were talking about energy and the ways that we're able to talk about these things through science and also through reading scriptures and getting these different descriptions. With kirtan, with meditation, with these types of things, it allows us to experience it. We can read about it, we can hear about it, but then once you really go in with an open heart and you do this for real and you connect with these ancient names, that it allows you to really experience for yourself, go beyond the thinking mind, go beyond language, and to open to that feeling. I was thinking about also Sanskrit and these names, maybe talking a little bit about the power of Sanskrit mantra and singing, and the way that, when you're writing these different songs, some of the origins maybe for some of the songs. I know your latest album that you released is Earning is Learning. This is out on Spotify. You guys can go check this out. Actually, now you have 2 full-length albums available. Maybe talk a little bit about some of your favorite tunes on there, or what tracks there, maybe some that you would like to talk about, some of the names or the meaning behind it, or perhaps the title of the album.
Well, the title of the album comes from Varanasi, what we were talking about earlier in the cremation grounds. It's like street slang. Burning is learning, cremation education, chai chilam chapati, 24-hour, no toilet, no shower. It's this whole Varanasi kind of street lingo, but it always struck me as like burning is learning. It's true. Like, if you don't learn the first time you get burned, you just continue to get burned. And in the end, we all wind up burning, so there's a lot to be learned in that process, and that each breath can be a purification. So I think that's really, why the title kind of, resonated with us in that way. And a lot of the kirtan that we're doing, are based off traditional songs, like just our versions of those songs. And we try not to manipulate those songs. We might manipulate the sounds, but in the pronunciation and delivery, we try to keep with what has been passed down to us throughout, that's been passed down for thousands of years. There's songs on that album that are definitely over 2,000 years old, probably 5,000 years old, that we just continue to play. And to me, that's the highest honor.
Yeah, connecting with that ancient, it's been chanted for thousands of years by people with such integrity and devotion. So you're really calling into people to be able to experience this ancient power. It's really fascinating. Really highly recommend people to really try this out and feel it for yourself, and open your heart and see what happens when you start to tune into this. I know too, you've got some really exciting shows coming up where you're going to be playing for some bigger audiences. Maybe you want to tell us a little bit about what you got coming up for Soma events in the future?
Shivnesh, you want to talk about it?
No, you can do it, Vasudev.
This summer, we have the incredible opportunity to go out and play some shows with Tyler Childers, who's an incredible, I don't want to reduce him to just a country music artist, but he's this incredible artist that invited us to share some dates with him. So in June, we'll be making our way out to California. We'll be playing at the Hollywood Bowl there with Tyler and another artist named Medium Build. And then while we're there, we're doing a stop at the Philosophical Research Society. It's an amazing venue out there. And then the 22 Teachings Medic School, where we'll be able to offer longer, fuller sets of what we're doing at those places as well. And then in September, the tail end of September, in the late 20s, I don't remember the exact dates right now, but we'll be playing in Camden, New Jersey, right outside of
First Mortgage Center,
Mansfield, Massachusetts, and then outside of DC and Bristow, Virginia, with Tyler. So we're really stoked. It's an incredible opportunity to be able to share what we're doing and to share these mantras with folks, and hopefully just be people's first experience, maybe hearing something like that, doing something to take away from that.
Yeah, I love the combination of thinking about that sort of folk country music with Tyler combined with what you guys are doing in that audience. I think that's going to open up. There'll probably be a lot of people that have never experienced kirtan in those events. So that's really exciting to think about and imagine.
It's cool because initially it's like people are like, oh, it's like so weird. Like people are like, oh, it's so interesting, so weird, so different. But it just makes so much sense because it's just two different streams of folk traditions coming together in a very unique way. So I thought that was like a really awesome thing. I'm really, really.
And he himself is a true believer. His actions through his music speak for themselves. The guy does tons of outreach to people, a lot of charity work. And he's a very conscious person. So when he asked us to do this, it was like, obviously we're going to say yes. But, not only were we happy, we were just honored to be on board with him to do it.
That's amazing. I love that. So what links to that?
People to check out some of interestingly enough, many songs of his have some. You'll find some, some Eastern philosophy woven into those, for lack of a better term, as well. He's got this beautiful song called "Universal Sound" that's literally just about like meditating on Om. He put out a record called "Can I Take My Hounds to Heaven," and one of those tracks on that record opens with like a reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam about a part, involving like Yudhisthira. And it's just like, there's some really interesting parallels there. His songs to what we're doing, and not just what we're doing, but to kirtan and spiritual practice in general. And he's a very spiritual person. That whole record, and I'm sure many of his other records are very inspired by like other, faith traditions and spiritual practices.
That's incredible. I love learning about different musicians that are in different genres where you wouldn't expect, especially coming from, full country music. That is such a beautiful thing once you start to combine those and open it up for people. So I've been listening to some of his music since you guys told me about the tour. So I've been really enjoying diving into his music as well. Kalpa, did you want to say something else?
Yeah, I just wanted to add something to the previous question that Robert had spoke on. So one of the things that I've always appreciated within our everything that we've done. So myself, I followed still do, but follow a pretty strict, not so strict these days, but a very committed Vaishnava practice in terms of worship. For anyone that doesn't understand that term, you have these three main currents within the greater spectrum of Hinduism, one being the worship of Vishnu, one being the worship of Shiva, one being the worship of the Divine Mother, Kali, Durga, whatever form you see her in. So my practice has been primarily based in the Vaishnava tradition of Krishna and Vishnu, whereas Robert Shivanesh has been in the worship of Shiva and the Divine Mother. So and our first kirtan group, Mishra Bhakti, was actually a play on words, Mishra meaning mixed. It's actually a Bengali word that tends to mean like when you take two things and you kind of swirl them together. So Mishra Bhakti was that idea of like the mixed devotion, of which there's one connotation where they say Mishra Bhakti and it's seen in a negative connotation, but I actually intentionally took that with the play on the words of no, it's like I'm into what I'm into. This guy's been one of my closest friends forever. He's into what he's into. So it was very much like the Reese's peanut butter cup, the chocolate and peanut butter meeting that made it, made both the two things sweeter by bringing them together. So we extended that idea also into Soma, where it's very much, it's a, I don't know what you want to say, non-denominational or non-liturgical approach to kirtan. Like we honor all these songs, we honor all these mantras with the same intention and the same focus, and we respect each other's practice and we build on each other's practice through that. And that, to me, that's also been one of the more powerful parts of it, is that it's much more inclusive. It's not this idea that, well, we're doing this. And again, it goes back to the idea of not proselytizing people. It's letting people figure it out themselves, because every person, it's like you have all these different trees that produce different fruits, and they all require different climates. They require different. So who's to say what seed's going to open in one person and not in the other? And that may happen based on the broader exposure to all these things. And really, who cares? Who really cares at the end of the day, as long as people are getting connected to something? And it's and it becomes like that's the thing that saves them. Some people might respond to one antibiotic, but not the other. But they all have to be made available.
Yeah, and all those trees that Kalpa mentioned, they all require one thing, and it's the sun, and it's one light. So whether, that's the most important theme of Soma, I think, would be like, it's all coming from one light.
Yeah, well said. One light, different. It's almost like a light over a film reel, just different images on the screen, but it's coming from that same source. I can really, and now that you say that, that combination of the Vishnu and Shiva, you can really feel that in the music. It is that combination of the both, and I think that it does give you an interesting sound or an interesting quality that I think separates you from a lot of the different kirtan music that I hear. Really, it initially calls to the young metalhead that loves those beats and those drones and those sonic vibrations and bands like growing up listening to Om and Sleep, and it really like kind of hits, scratches those areas that I really enjoy. but then, yeah, but you can feel that this is so connected to the source vibration, and that, yeah, that this is something that is unique and special to you. It's like religion is it's so different for all of us. Each of us that have a spiritual practice, it's like totally different for every single person. Your path is going to be your own nuance, your own relationship with yourself. It's never the same.
And that uniqueness should be nurtured, in my opinion. It should be nurtured within each individual. So we hope that that comes across in what we're doing. People just come as themselves. They don't have to worry about fitting into anything.
Yeah, absolutely. You love that. You're also there's a new release that you are working on with David D'Andrea with Samaritan Press. So maybe tell us a little bit about what you've got coming up there as well.
Yeah, well, so David is an incredible artist, and a incredible practitioner. Harkening back to what you just said about like Sleep and Home and stuff like that, you might have seen some of his work from bands like that. David's done a lot of work with Om. He's done quite a few Sleep, and he reached out to us about he has a like a studio where he does lithograph. Is it lithograph? Is that what it's
Letterpress.
Letterpress, excuse me. He does like letterpress and these beautiful pieces and packagings for. He's done a couple of like vinyl and tape releases and stuff. He did one for Al from Om, one with like Barn Owl, some different bands and musicians. So he reached out to us about doing something, and we were in tandem, funny enough, kind of like working on these like already existing set of songs that we didn't really have any concrete direction for, so I'm just making them happen, and it just kind of in divine timing just really worked out nicely. So we'll be releasing a 10-inch record with David, I believe sometime, maybe in like the springish area, somewhere in that world. But it'll be awesome. We're really, really psyched and really humbled that he wanted to do that. So that'll be really cool. It'll be a 5-song 10-inch record.
Excellent. I can't wait to see that. Yeah, I'm a fan of his artwork. So cool. I'll put a link to Samaritan Press so people can check that out as well, get a sense of the type of packaging and things that I've always been a fan of his work and the letterpress work that he's doing there. So yeah, congratulations on those are two really incredible opportunities that seemingly just kind of showed up for you as you continue down this road and doing what you love and connecting, following your heart and seeing those different things that just start to come into play. So is there anything else?
Amazing. It's been amazing because we're seeing these things fruit, through the band, like all the sadhana that we're doing, all the practice that we're all taking part in, it's bearing fruit through the band, like those opportunities that never presented themselves in things that I worked on prior, and I think it's just the fact that everybody in the band, us three and Steven and Nataraj as well, they're all, have different, inputs, and everybody's influence is starting to bear fruit in these amazing ways, and what's great about this new record, this new recording that we did, we recorded it in the church that Vasudev works pretty closely with, and we played before in the past, and that's where we began, and then we did a lot of the production in the temple here and at Stephen's farm, and then we did it all ourselves this time, and it's been a really incredible experience, like watching these songs be birthed into this next release.
And it's just reflecting on that, as you said, Achievement, what's so cool is like, as he said, the songs were recorded in an Episcopalian church, like on the altar of an Episcopalian church. Then they were added to and refined on this like beautiful, farm full of like life and growth and whatnot. And then they were even further refined in the temple in Shivanesh's backyard where he's currently sitting. So it's got all these different, like elemental presences in it. And it's really, I hope that people can hear each of them uniquely in these songs, because I feel like it's really created like and Stephen, who's in Soma, he put so much like work and love and care into them too. He really knocked them out of the park. So we're really excited for the world to get to enjoy them with us.
Oh, what a cool environment for recording those tracks. It really makes me think about like what you guys are doing there is probably so much different than a normal album recording environment where I imagine you're probably playing you're probably playing together at the same time. You can't like record one track. I know, normally albums, it's like, all right, I'm going to record the guitars, you're going to record the drums, listen on the headphones. But what does that recording process look for you guys? Are you really playing all together during the recording sessions?
Most of it, yeah, I would say about 75% of it was recorded live initially, and then we're treating the songs after they're recorded live with overdubs and stuff like that. But the initial tracks were recorded live, and maybe one song was recorded individually. But aside from that, most of it was recorded live in the church.
Yeah, that makes me think of just having such a different energy with the recording like that too. It's not so studio contrived, and it has that just real natural sound coming through, and also with the environment. I love that. Yeah, it's been awesome getting to chat with you guys and hear your origin stories and meet you after listening to your music for so long. And I know I'm due to be able to see you guys live at some point here.
Yeah, I really hope so. We're big fans of your work too. I'm glad we had this opportunity. I've been on the show a couple of times, and I'm glad these guys were able to come along. And yeah, what you're doing is amazing, man. And we're really like, we actually have a bunch of other connections too that we didn't talk about. But like, me and Culpa spent a lot of time with one of your teachers at a very young age, and that was really, like, I know for me, and I could definitely say for Culpa as well, that she was hugely instrumental in our lives. Maybe you can talk about that a little bit before we go, because I think that as artists, that was she was very big for us.
Yeah. Shivanesh Robert Ryan, he's speaking about Siyamarani Dasi, which a prolific, profound Bhakti painter. I've had the opportunity. I'm here in Florida, so she has a temple in South Florida. So getting to be able to get connected with her and to to go sing kirtan in that temple with them and to see those paintings live has been such an incredible experience. And that's where I got my Sanskrit name, was meeting her in Miami. My brother and I were painting a Hanuman mural in Wynwood District in Miami, and it was a pretty interesting series of events. Another of the devotees there, Shivananda, he was actually looking for a sign for Hanuman at the time, and he was looking to do a ritual with Hanuman, and ended up just seeing this mural that we were painting, and it was like, well, apparently this sign just came very quickly after his prayer, and he wanted to meet me, and ended up getting to meet him, and then he introduced me to Siyamarani Dasi, and it was really the second time that I met her. She felt that I was meant to have this name, so she gave me the name Krishna Chandra, and has blessed the work that I was doing. It really was a great, crucial moment, I think, in my art career, of really needing that inspiration and that blessing that really helped me to feel that I'm on the right path with the work that I'm doing, and some of the work that I did out in California recently. Shivananda came and visited me out there and actually brought some of the water from her bath and blessed me with that. And it really was a fascinating time where I felt like after meeting with him and him bringing her blessings, the painting process that I was working on, it sped up to about twice as fast and twice as good. And just being able to be, in her presence. And I know she went through a recent time where it looked like she wasn't really going to be on this earth for very much longer, but has made a great recovery and is teaching again. So it's a blessing to still have her presence here on earth and all of that. So been really great connecting with Siyamarani Dasi Didi.
She was living at the Brooklyn Temple when me and Culpa started going there. And, she's a Prabhupada disciple and probably one of the most sincere people that I had met at that point, maybe ever. And we took Bhagavad Gita class with her. I know a couple did a lot of art with her. Yeah, just the fact when you had mentioned that you had met her and she gave you the name and stuff, that was a huge, just connection for me.
Yeah, so great to be able to be on the same planet as some of these great teachers and be able to learn from people. We're so fortunate in this age that we get to connect and learn and to awaken in this lifetime as much as we can. Yeah, Kalpa, did you want to share?
Yeah, So one thing I can say, one of the great fortunes of having met her, I mean, it's the contribution that she's made artistically to religious art. But I mean, she is literally, in my personal opinion, I don't think anybody that looks, you don't have to dive too deep into it to come to this conclusion. She's literally like a modern master. Like absolutely just a modern master. So anybody that's listening, Shamarani Devidasi now, but her previous name that she went by was Jadharani Devidasi. So if you look up either of those, you Google either of those names, and just put in art or spiritual art or whatever you like, you're just going to find like an unlimited amount. I mean, you won't even, one lifetime's not even, I mean, she's just so prolific. And just so amazing. And you can see from her first painting, which is still hanging in, I don't know if you've ever been there, Krishna Chandra, but at 26 2nd Avenue in New York City, the first temple, her first painting is still there. And her guru, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, told her that the feet, the painting's still there. It's Radha and Krishna standing in front of a cow. Her guru told her those feet look like rubber gloves. So when you see where she started up until I'd say her most famous painting, which is called The All Attractive Couple, which is also Radha and Krishna they're sitting on a little couch. It's like one of the most famous paintings. Like whether you're aware of it or not, if you've ever done any sort of search on spiritual art, you've seen this painting. And I mean, it's just such it is just such a classical Renaissance worthy painting. So it just shows her journey. Like you can just literally see and then after that came the whole series of what people are used to seeing now, where to that she painted paintings of the gopis that go with that setting and so many other things. But just an absolutely incredible artist. I personally had the pleasure of just sitting and watching her work on so many paintings when I was and that informed so much of my own desire to just go out and just at least try to produce artwork and all these things. And I mean, I have a few pieces from her that were just small things. I remember one time she was living in the Boston Temple. She herself was living in the Boston Temple, and she had written me, I still have it, just on back of a photo of like a 4x6 or whatever, 3x5 photograph. Just, hey, how you doing? Haven't seen you. You know, just put a stamp on it, almost like a postcard, just threw it. I have that. I have a wonderful pen and ink drawing that she did of Balaram from the Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Trinity. So, I mean, she was just a prolific artist, just an amazing, amazing person. And I'd really love to catch up with her again one day. So if you cross paths, please send my most frustrated pranams to her.
Yeah, I will. Absolutely. Yeah, man. What you were saying there is like seeing where she was when she started and where it blossomed into. And she says, "I'm just a channel of Prabhupada, just openly becoming a channel and letting that work come through." And it's so inspirational to be around somebody that's doing that so authentically and wholeheartedly. And it's helped me immensely just to be able to see that that's possible and to get out of the way and have that come through. Sure. Yeah, you got it.
He's the first devotional artist I ever met, and like, I mean that in the sense of like the work she was creating and her practice. I mean, she was teaching Bhagavad Gita class. She was chanting all day long, and she was also, making amazing, amazing paintings day after day after day, and like working on the comic books and the other books. And it's just incredible, like I can't say enough amazing things about her, and like how much that informed my paintings, and how, even though mine don't look anything like hers, she's still in every one of those paintings for sure.
Yeah, incredible being. When I went to go see her in the care facility recently when she was having physical struggles, I thought that I was going to go see someone laying in a bed and it was going to be kind of a sad moment. But when I got there, she had a Zoom scheduled for the evening, and she was teaching classes, and she invited us all in to sit, and she was teaching us. I was like, wow, okay. it was really, really neat to just see how much somebody can accomplish in a lifetime. Just hundreds of paintings, hundreds and probably thousands of talks, and yeah, it's so inspirational to see what's possible. And that really, for all of us artists, this is what can happen when we really tune into the divine to drive our work. And I think this is the age that we're moving into. Artists, it's really artists that change the world. It's not politicians that change the world. It's not revolutions and things that try to change people's minds. It's being able to make people feel something, experience something. And if we're having these connections with the divine and we're bringing that in through our art, like all of us can be channels for this goodness, for this age that we're in. It's very exciting.
Amen.
Yeah. Well, amen. Thank you all for joining. I'm happy that we got to connect and chat. And is there any last words that you guys would like to leave with the audience? Anything that you would like people to take away from this podcast? And then I'm just going to read some words from Yogananda to conclude, and then we'll see everybody again in the future. So yeah, just anything that you guys would like to share to end.
I just want to thank you for having us, Chris. It's been a total pleasure. So thank you for that.
Yeah, so great to meet.
Truly honored always. Thank you so much, man.
Yes, thank you for everything. Thanks for having us. You're an amazing artist, very inspirational to myself and to others. We look forward to maybe getting to Florida one day.
Oh, amazing. Yes, cool. I can't wait to come hang out with you guys and sing
You're
on together. St. Petersburg, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, yeah, I know our paths will align in the physical dimension.
Well, we actually have a devotee friend in St. Petersburg, so maybe sooner than later.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, all right, we'll plant that seed and hopefully that will start to sprout here soon. Thank you, guys. This is some words from my guru, Paramahansa Yogananda. This is from a book called How to Live Without Fear. This is around chanting. Yogananda is famous for saying, chanting is half the battle. Chanting will get you there. The chanting is so important that we're all energy patterns, vibrating energy. He said, repeating a phrase with varying depth and soul feeling until one realizes the meaning of his utterance in every fiber of his being. This is at one-ment with one's own affirmations through loud and mental chanting. At the moment the phrase reaches the superconsciousness and the inner conviction, a volley of energy will shoot down and vibrate and heal the diseased tissues of the body, mind, and soul, electrocuting physical bacteria, paralyzing mental fears, and incinerating ignorance into ashes.
Wow.
Blessings, friends. Thank you.